Cindy begins to gather the new ISA while the Crocks break out of prison to see their daughter's tryouts. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve from Valhartv, and today I'll be reviewing Stargirl Chapter 4. So this episode opens up with Artemis visiting her parents in prison, and we get a real sense of just how much she misses them and she relies on them. She talks about, because they're not going to be there, that she may not be able to do good at the tryout. And they tell her that she's going to do great because it's not about them. And we also end up, so in order to really kind of support her, they break out of prison to go see her tryouts for for college football. And they end up going and finding Mike, which I thought was great because Mike's like, hi, I've got to go. And they're like, nope. So I thought that was great. And when Pat does find him, they're like, look, we don't want any trouble. We want to see our daughter do tryouts today, and we want to lay low, so you're going to help us. And Pat's like, well, okay, and I was like, because, he's afraid that they're going to, hurt everybody. So I thought that was good because Pat sits there and actually helps them. And they talk, both Pat and Crusher and Barbara and Paula all have conversations with each other. And they end up kind of realizing that they have more in common than they thought. They're more alike and stuff. And I like Crusher telling Pat that he thought that they were on the track of being good friends. And Pat's like, well, I thought so too until you tried to kill me, and it kind of put a damper on things. And Crusher's like, yeah, that's a good point. I was like, dude, that's great. That's awesome. And, so they go to the tryouts, and something happens at the tryouts because of Cindy. That's all I'm going to say about it. I thought that was really good. But then Courtney and the rest of the JSA team start looking for answers to who Calypso is, or Eclipso is. And they start looking at all these older books and everything, and they find out about a mysterious island, and so they continue to investigate. And Courtney's like, well, I'm going to go over to a rare bookstore, see if they have anything more on it. And when she goes and does that, we end up seeing the Shade in the bookstore, and he starts talking to Courtney about everything. And Courtney, of course, is like, well, you did this and this. And he's like, oh, you were there. And she's like, well, I mean, no. But he's like, well, Pat's not really telling you everything then. He leaves out stuff. And she's like, wait, what? And he's like, look, just stay out of my way. I'm trying to get rid of this problem. And he's, and they keep going back and forth. And Courtney's like, but why? You're evil. And he's like, no. He's like, I've been called that before, but he's like, listen. He's like, it's not, you stay out of my way. He's like, and Pat's just not, he's like, Pat's leaving out stuff. So I feel like the Shade is trying to turn the JSA on each other, so that way they, will be distracted from what he's really trying to do. I don't think he's really telling the truth, but he's also, he's leaving stuff out, but he's really also telling just enough to get Courtney interested in things, so that way she'll run off to Pat and she'll distract everybody so he can do what he wants to do. And that's been the whole thing, because he continuously says, stay out of my way. Stay out of my way. And in, I think it was last episode or the episode before, he talks about Eclipso deleting the children. And so I don't really know what his motivations are there for wanting to find it, the Black Diamond. And of course, Courtney runs off and ends up trying to talk to Pat, and Pat's just like, well, and he leaves out some truths and stuff, because he's trying to protect her. And that's the biggest thing about like in any of the superhero shows. It's a big cliche. You try to protect people from the truth because you're afraid of what it's going to do to them. And then they find out anyways. And it does exactly what you thought it was going to do. So instead of trying to help it and actually telling the truth and talking about it, you're like, let's just hide it. And, and it always backfires. So this is going to backfire. I guarantee it will. And the ending of this episode, though, I thought was really good because it shows something about the original JSA members. There's one in particular that continuously talks to the Goggles that, what's her name? Beth has. And we end up finding out something that's really kind of cool. The whole Beth thing, they need to do a better arc with her. They really need to get her character up to snuff because I think that's one of my things that really kind of took away from this episode was her family drama. It's just really not that interesting. She's unfortunately not a very interesting character, and it's thanks to the way they wrote her. It has nothing to do with the acting. The actress is completely fine in her role. It's just they wrote the character as, just not being very useful, especially without the Goggles. They need to really kind of ramp her up and get her a better arc and get her more into different things with them. And even with the kid who plays Our Man now, his character too. They really need to get more with him, and he needs to do more. Like, he's starting to do better in school, getting all, like, hundreds and stuff. So they really need to start doing something more with him like that as well. So hopefully they get better arcs with each of these characters, because the villains, like in Season 1, are more interesting than the heroes. Especially their motivations. And, and that's what kills me about this show, is that the heroes are just like, whatever, but, you're like, man, the villains are great in this. So I really hope they start getting better arcs for the heroes as well. And I am interested in this, in what the Shade is planning, more than I am in what, the heroes finding out the truth about Eclipso and other stuff. The Shade in this episode was great. Like, the bookstore scene was great. I'll backtrack real quick. He's really ominous in this. He uses the shadows to move in and out between bookshelves, things like that, while Courtney's like, looking around for him, and he's real ominous in this, and he's trying to give her a warning, like, stay out of his way, and she's like, talking about how bad he is, and he's like, look, I'm just trying to get rid of this. Period, end of story, stay out of my way, and he's like, I've been called all these names before, and it was a really good use of his powers, and that scene. And again, the Shade in this is trying to make Courtney think that he only wants to, get rid of an obstacle, basically, for him, and he tries to tell her a little bit of the truth and then to go see Pat for the rest, and so he's really trying to get everybody away from him, to be distracted. And I'm sure he's lying about, what his real intentions are. All the bad guys really do, especially when they're just trying to do something, but we'll see. And now that's what I'm really interested in, is what his stakes in this season are, what he's really trying to do. And the picture of the new ISA, I thought was actually really great. Eclipso shows Cindy what she wants, and I honestly can't wait to see how Cindy is going to recruit Mike going forward. This is what I'm more interested in. I'm not really worried about the heroes. They're running around like, chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out what's going on, what the truth is, while everybody else is just moving around being like, yeah, they're over there doing whatever, so I'm going to be over here doing what I need to do, because I'm more focused. And this is what I thought was the best part about this episode, was the fact that the villains are moving and they're just distracting the heroes. They're just getting them right out of the way, and the heroes are falling for it. Again, another trope that they've used many times in comics and movies. But leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe because it helps my channel. Take care for now, everyone.